barefoot hiking boots. We can't get enough of them here at Terradrift. We're at the point where we don't hike in anything else. But not all barefoot boots are created equal, so we took out 2 pairs from some of our favorite brands, Xero Shoes and Vivo Barefoot, to see how they compared. The Xero Scrambler Trail Mid WP and the Vivo Barefoot Tracker Textile AT. And because we want you to find your perfect shoe the first time out, we're gonna break down how they're different, where they excelled or didn't, and what type of hiker we think is gonna like each one best. So let's get into it, shall we? FYI, if you're new to barefoot shoes, go watch our video with tips on how to transition and check out some of our other reviews, like our comparison of basically these same boots, but you know, the non-waterproof versions. Yeah, we'll put those links below. Also, neither of these boots are specifically for winter hiking, just so you know. I did hike in them in both rainy and snowy conditions, but below about freezing, neither one kept my feet super warm if I stopped actively hiking. But they are well suited for shoulder season temps and soggy seasons, you know, when it's often wet and cool. I mean, I guess some people hike in waterproof boots year round, but when it gets hot, I'm switching to barefoot sandals. By the way, subscribe now so you don't miss our annual barefoot hiking sandal review. That's coming up real soon, and it's gonna be the biggest one yet. You're not gonna wanna miss it. Just trust me. Anyway, what I'm saying is these boots may be a bit stuffy for warm to hot days, but if you don't mind, they can certainly function as year-round hikers. Let's start with the Vivos, because frankly, I've always kind of liked the look of Vivo Barefoot shoes best. They're sleek, they're stylish. The whole brand is not only focused on the science of natural foot function, but also sustainability. More on that in a sec. And the new Tracker Textile AT is no exception. It looks serious, but without, you know, like being all clunky and overbuilt. It's designed with the same durable sole with serious tread as the brand's other tracker boots, but this one is vegan and more breathable than the leather options. Also, they come with a removable thermal liner, which you can take in or leave out depending on the temperature. But let's talk about comfort. And full disclosure, these will need a bit of breaking in, most likely. The uppers were a little stiff right out of the box, and the tongue created a few pressure points on my ankles on the first few hikes. But with most other Vivos we've tested, that has faded with time as materials soften up. So that's a plus. That said, the ankle padding is thin and flexible and moves with your ankle, which is important to preserve balance and optimum foot flexion and torsion. Fun fact, most healthy feet and ankles would do better without boots with ankle support. The high ankle and gusseted tongue do help keep out water though. And while they weren't the most breathable, you'll have that with waterproof boots, they never let in any water when walking through deep puddles, standing in creeks, trekking through mud and slushy snow, you name it. Now these do have a different ground feel than some of our other favorite Vivo boots like the Magna Lite. We'll drop a link to that review below. Now, while those are really light, breathable, and ultra flexible, the Tracker Textile is designed to be more robust, especially in the sole, which is less flexible than on those Magna Lite or on the brand's, say, Primus footwear. On the upside, that denser sole means it's also more protective, which means if you don't want to feel every single deviation in the terrain underfoot, these may be a better fit for you. Personally, I like to feel it all, so I found it a bit too dense, but again, that's me. The traction was excellent though. Now, in addition to a slightly stiffer sole, the heel cup is also stiff and on the narrow side. So I did feel a bit of pressure back there, kind of like a hard cage around my heel. That has taken some getting used to. It's not painful, but I didn't find the shoes as comfortable right out of the box as some other options we've tried. As for sizing, the Tracker Textile is available in 4.5 to 11 for women and 7 to 15 for men, but with almost no half sizes, so it may be a bit trickier to find the right size for some folks. That said, if you're familiar with European sizing, you shouldn't have an issue. They are also narrower than the Xeros, just a touch, especially in the forefoot, but enough to notice. They're also quite low volume as well. Now, the boot is only available in one color for men and women. On the downside, Vivo Barefoot shoes do tend to be more expensive. The Tracker Textile at recording is $220, so they're not a budget buy. Fortunately, you can look for used or refurbished options on revivo.com. They're still not going to be cheap, but cheaper. And as for the sustainability I mentioned earlier, the uppers and laces are made with almost entirely recycled materials. Plus, Vivo is a B Corp, has a repair and resale platform, and is really transparent with their mission and efforts, which we love. But let's move on to the Xeros. This is the Scrambler Trail Mid WP. That stands for waterproof, and it's replacing the brand's Excursion Fusion. And in case you're wondering, this one is available in addition to the Scrambler Mid 2 WP, which we reviewed last year. We'll link to that below. Now, once more for clarity, this is the new Scrambler Trail Mid. So what are the differences between the original Scrambler Mid 2 and the newer Scrambler Trail Mid? Well, for starters, the Scrambler Trail is $30 cheaper, largely because it doesn't have an event membrane or Michelin sole like the original. The Trail uses Xero's new Xero-Tex waterproof membrane, and the soles are a less branded compound. But honestly, I couldn't really tell the difference. And yes, I did go on a hike with one on each foot. I look ridiculous. Anyway, the Trail offers plenty of flexibility and protection for the soles of your feet. The soles are more dense than some other Xero shoes we've tested. I'd say most, but still flex freely and were solid enough to keep me from feeling every little pebble underfoot. They were slightly more flexible than the soles of the Vivo Tracker, and they are comfortable. Like most Xero shoes we've tested, they basically require no break-in period. They're soft and comfy and flexible right out of the box. The way I like to describe a lot of Xero shoes is it's like putting on a really durable slipper. I just like how Xero shoes feel on my feet, even if they're not as street smart as Vivo's. As for fit, they're pretty true to size. I usually wear an 8 in hiking boots to give my toes a little more space on the downhill, and that was perfect. Check out the whole video we did about how to find the right fit for your hiking boots. We'll put a link in the description. For sizing reference, in other Xero shoes, I do wear smaller sizes, a 7 in sneakers or running shoes and a 6 in sandals, if that helps. Listen, I have narrow feet, okay? That said, some folks have noted that these seem to run a bit on the narrow side, especially if you have high volume feet, although I do think they're roomier than the Vivos, so take that into consideration. But let's talk about waterproofing, because it seemed to work pretty dang well during testing. I stood in creeks, hiked in sloppy snow, and went through puddles, and my feet stayed dry for hours, at least as well as in the original version of these boots. They come in 3 colors for men and women, including neutrals. I just kind of liked the purple for a change, and a pretty wide range of sizes, 5 to 12 for women and 6.5 to 15 for men. Also, there's a low-rise version available if you prefer no ankle padding, and I will call it padding, not support, because it's soft and flexible, not rigid. But the mid-rise option does help keep snow and water out, so that's a plus. As for sustainability, Xero's main focus is on making shoes that last, so they do come with a 5,000-mile sole warranty. Plus, the brand supports the Tarahumara Children's Hospital in Mexico and is transparent about their carbon emissions. So, now that you know the differences, the choice is up to you. Choose wisely, and let us know which ones you prefer and why, or if you've tried them yourself and have anything to add. Then hit the trail this spring and wander on. Yeah, even if it's wet out there, these can handle it.